Everybody, I'm sorry we had a glitch in the system, so I am trying to get our guests back on with the new link here, so bear with me a couple of minutes, but we will get started here shortly. So, technology is my favorite thing in the whole wide world. So let me go to messages, and let me find Brynne, Brynne, and there she is, and I think she just joined. Let me go check and see if she got it. And she did. Nope. That is not it. Okay. That is not the link. Sorry, James. Let me see so I could share this. Nope, that's not what I want. Well, let me get Brynne in and I will resend that link one more time. There's the link. And bear with me, guys. I apologize about this. So let me see if I can get Brynne back on, and we will get started. So I apologize for the technical difficulties, but it is what it is. So now I got to go back here and find the link inside of LinkedIn for you guys. I will find that. And let's see, let's go to events. And let me see with the StreamYard link here. Let's see if I can do the settings and camera, audio, guests. Sorry about the technical difficulties, guys. If you can see and hear me, do me a favor and just go in the comments and put that in there. And I am trying to figure this out because this is relatively new to me too. So I apologize. Let's see, you are live. View on LinkedIn. Let's see, here is the link. Continue LinkedIn. Okay, there we go. There's the link. And let me go back here to LinkedIn. I will post that in the chat. Let's see, meet and greet. New view link. There we go. Okay. I am sending the new LinkedIn Live link to everybody so that you should have it now. And I'm going to go back and see if I got Brynne in the studio yet. I'm not seeing Brynne yet. So I will invite her again, copy the clipboard, and let's go to Brynne and there. And let's go to here and Brynne. Okay. And I'm going to go to a minute here. And there she is. Yay! Hello, Brynne. Sorry.
Hello, Brian.
Would not let me change the time. So the glitch was the glitch. It's not the first. It's weird with StreamYard that every time I set this thing up, I occasionally get things that change. And like it will change the date and time and do things. And so I don't know why it did what it did, but it did. So anyways, hello, everybody. Those of you who have stuck around long enough to figure out where the heck we're at, I appreciate it. It is just going to be me and Brynne live, obviously, even though if you're in the room, go check out the stream. Go back to LinkedIn. I will post that link one more time. So I'll go put it in a... Just go to my profile and I will post it in my profile. So let me view it there. Let's go post a new post. And I'll put the stream in so that you guys can see it. And then we will get started. Okay, there we go.
You know, when these folks come over as LinkedIn user, how to find out who they are? Ask.
Yeah.
Is it their setting?
There's something in StreamYard that you kind of got to set up. And like I've already registered with StreamYard. I haven't figured that out yet. I got to talk to a friend about the specifics on it. But there's a way that they can get into StreamYard and figure that out. So with that being said, we are going to get started here. So guys, I'm going to give a countdown and then we're going to get started on this program. Again, I apologize for the technical difficulties and here we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this morning. This is Bacon and Coffee with Brynne Tillman as our special guest. Brynne, thank you so much for diving back in, dealing with all the technical stuff. Isn't technology fun?
You know what? We got to roll with it. Nothing
Yep.
we can do about what we can't do, and we're here now, and that's what matters.
That is what matters. So anyways, I want to introduce you to all of my friends. You are with Social... Go ahead and say it again. It's
Social Sales Link.
Thank you. Yes. I always forget about that. And but you are in Philadelphia and you do multiple things. You teach corporations how to use LinkedIn. You also work with individuals and coaches and teach them individually how to do it. And so how long have you been working in that? Yeah, something in that range. You can talk about it later. We'll get into the D's.
Yeah.
But how long have you been working with this kind of stuff?
Yeah, so a little over 10 years now. I was a sales trainer for years, and I owned with a partner a sales training company, and we were teaching LinkedIn sort of as this loss leader. It was this brand new kind of newfangled tool that I really figured out on how to leverage it from a sales perspective really early on. I think even before LinkedIn did. And we were teaching it and then selling them into our traditional sales training programs. And it just wasn't feeling right for me. Like I there was so much magic in the LinkedIn side that I really didn't want to teach knocking on doors and cold calling anymore. So I in a very amicably left. My partnership, we're still great friends. And she gave me a hug and said, when this new fad kind of fizzles out, let me know. You're always welcome back. And so now my company is just about, it's over 7 years now, where we are solely focused on teaching people how to convert their connections and content to sales conversations.
I love it. And I got to tell you, I've been to Philadelphia a few times. I grew up in New Jersey, so I know I went there.
Where in New Jersey?
In Hackensack, actually, New Milford.
So my daughter lives near there. She's in Verona.
Yeah. How many New Jerseyans does it take to screw in a light bulb?
How many?
What do you care?
I love that.
Thank you. So the last time I was there, I was speaking at a conference in downtown, and of course, you go to Chicago, you got to eat pizza, right? You go to, you go to San Francisco, you got to go to Fisherman's Wharf. You have to get a Philly cheesesteak. So I wander from the hotel. We had a break for lunch, and I wandered from the hotel, and there was a cheesesteak place like about 4 blocks down. About halfway down, I got accosted by this homeless guy. Big, tall dude. It's like, hey, what's your name? How you doing? I try to ignore him and everything else. And it's like, dude, give me some money. It's like, I don't have any cash. I have no money. I have nothing to give you. And he would not leave me alone. Just kept following and following and following. So finally I went into the food joint, and I said, dude, just leave me alone. He wouldn't do it. So I went in the food joint and I just basically said, you see this guy behind me? Just go get him whatever he wants for lunch. Put it on my tab. I'm going to get a cheesesteak to go and I'm out of here. And that was it. Well, it's like, what are you going to do? I'm not going to give him cash because that's going to go, number one. And number two, nothing wrong with feeding one homeless person, right?
Yep, I agree. Whenever I go downtown, I bring boxes of granola bars.
See, that's a beautiful thing. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So anyway, so we're going to be talking about a whole bunch of different things. But the first thing I want to kind of talk about is one of the things with LinkedIn that I've seen. And again, I'm in the marketing space. You're in the sales space. I always say that I bridge the gap between marketing and sales. So we were just on a Clubhouse together.
Yeah, that was so fun.
Yeah, it's fun. And we talked about Clubhouse a couple of weeks ago with Chris Voss and not the bomb dude.
I know. Can I just tell you, I have been telling everyone all over that I'm connected to Chris Voss, that I'm on Facebook with Chris Voss, that because I'm obsessed with the other Chris Voss who wrote Never Split the Difference.
Right.
So I even to my husband, I'm like, I can't believe he's engaging with me. And I'm sure he's awesome too, but it's a different Chris Voss.
Oh yeah, no, he's awesome. He's awesome. As a matter of fact, me and him are really good friends. Him and my wife are good friends. He's got 2 huskies. He helped me with my my dog that passed away a couple of years ago or last year. No, that's okay. And but he's a dog lover. He's a nice guy. He actually does product reviews, and now he's interviewing like best-selling New York Times authors on his podcast. Yeah,
That's awesome.
He's a really great, interesting guy, and he's funny as hell. But anyway, so we digress. So we were on a clubhouse together in a sales room. And, I basically said that, my sales training came from Glenn Ross, which I think got
hysterical.
Yeah, got an overarching guffaw, which is true. It's like, I'm in the marketing side. What I do is I produce the content that helps drive the marketing. Oh, by the way, we got dueling mugs too. Everybody's got to see bacon mugs.
I want to, what do you call it? Cheers.
Yes, cheers. Are you ready? Okay, one.
Wait, which side are you on?
I'm going this way, so you got to go. There we go. It works. Cheers. So, anyways, one of the things that I do is I create content and systems to basically take what happens on LinkedIn and turn it into, the conversations. That's really what I do. But one of the things that I've noticed is that when I get into a company and we start going down, the road of technology, it doesn't matter what kind of technology. It could be Salesforce, could be LinkedIn, could be anything. Mm-hmm. You have these different camps. You've got what I consider, I'm going to simplify it and say 3 camps. You've got Camp A, which is the 60-year-olds that are they're the A players, the guys that have been there forever. They got the relationships. They've been doing things forever. Mm-hmm. You got the mid-range people that are not technological adverse. They're willing to learn. They're cool with things. And then you've got the millennials, the younger kids. And I can say that because I got 2 kids that are in their 30s, who just want text. They don't want to deal with email. They don't want to deal with all this other stuff. And so you've got the texters, you got the people that are willing to adapt, and then you've got the, get off my lawn, I'm only going to phone call people. So how do you kind of blend that together? Or what have you seen? Give me your experience with all that kind of fun stuff.
So that's great, right? So there are 2 camps. There's the tech people that don't have the sales experience, and the sales experience people that don't have the tech experience. So the first thing is I love to make sure, first I'm taking inventory of who's in the room, what level do they see themselves, and the goal ultimately is to always keep everyone engaged. So we've got to be at the lowest common denominator when rolling out a social selling program. So there's always in every lesson, strategy, tactic, strategy, tactic, strategy, tactic. The experienced non-techer, boomer, even I'm like on the edge of Xer, and we're kind of split. Some of us are techies, some of us aren't. But the strategy tactic piece is what's always keeping everyone engaged all the time. Because the strategy, the boomers will say, yeah, absolutely. That's relationship driven. It's referrals driven. It's being of value to my client. Like they understand the seasoned sales professional understands the relationship and understands the power of that. Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And now, so they're bought in because they're like, that's it. She gets it. She gets it. She gets it. Then there's now, how do we take this into the modern day selling? How do we take this into the virtual world? And that's the tactical piece where the young sales reps will go, that's so easy. That's so easy. That's so easy. But they're also hearing the relationship side on the other end. So ultimately, what we're doing is ensuring that we're bringing both of their expertise together, and each of them are learning from the other generation. And when we can do that, and then we call on people, right? So I'll say, hey, Brian, when you're in a conversation with a salesperson or with a prospect, and this is happening, how do you handle that? And then you share that and say, okay, how do you think we can translate that into a LinkedIn activity? Mm-hmm. And so, and then we go, okay, tactically. So, and we'll say this. So Brian is great at referrals. All he has to do is ask his clients for referrals, and they're thrilled to give it to him. But sometimes they don't know all the people they know that they can refer to Brian. Now I'm going to pass it back to the person, the younger person who understands the tactical side, and say, what do you think we could do on LinkedIn to increase those referrals? And now they just saw a lesson and they're like, oh, I know, they could do this. And so we're bringing that strategy tactic together so that everyone is leaning in and going, I know that, I love that. I know that, that's right. So where they feel empowered, and which allows them to be open to learning something new.
Yeah, I love it. And, and again, the Clubhouse experience that we had this morning, I heard somebody say something that I thought was just incredible, which made a lot of sense, is again, we're in this Zoom world right now where everything is Zoom or StreamYard or whatever it is that, we're online. And they said that, people would not show up to meetings with their cameras on, and they try to get everybody to turn their cameras on. And I've taught a handful of college classes as an adjunct professor, and I've seen the same thing. One of the professor has trained his kids to do this. But he said the one thing that they did to get people to turn their cameras on is they put them into breakout rooms. And then they would ask them to come up with an answer to something. And then, when they'd come out of the breakout rooms, everybody would have their camera on. So it's almost like it's a great idea to kind of, I wouldn't say it's tricking people, but kind of like getting them to play in technology in a way without them realizing that you're actually teaching them something, that it's good etiquette to have your camera on. It's good etiquette to, do this. It's good. It's the things that you have to learn how to do online that don't necessarily translate. Right.
And I'll give a shout out. That was Jeff Bajorek who.
Oh, and Jeff. Okay. Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah. So with that being said, the translation, one of the things I think in social media, and this again happens on every single platform, is there are people that are new to social media. First and foremost, I think there are people out that are teaching social media completely wrong. Yeah, I know. One of my favorites was actually you. Not that you did anything wrong. You were in a room and somebody was talking about Pinterest, and she was trying to convince you to find LinkedIn clients on Pinterest. And I was just cracking up. It's like, okay, Pinterest is really great for flowers and boats and hobbies and crafts. And can you possibly find somebody on there? Yeah, you could find somebody on everything. There's no question about it. But let's face it, the Pinterest sandbox is very different than the corporate selling sandbox. And, I just found that so interesting. And it was, I was just guffawing about it.
You don't want to know what happened.
What happened?
So we have a full-time social media person. So I said, you know what? We've got a ton of these image quotes that we put out every week.
Sure.
Go put them on in Pinterest. And I got 2 clients.
That's awesome. Yeah.
But I got them for my content, like my membership, low dollar amount, enter.
Right.
So it was interesting. Now, how did I get them? From SEO, not because they were on Pinterest, but when they searched, Pinterest has a big SEO hit.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
So yeah. You just don't know. So, but I mean, I don't mean to contradict it, but I'm like, you know what? It doesn't hurt. Let's give it a shot.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. It's like, I'm not saying it's bad. It just, it could be a component of everything. But the key thing is it's like, we're all busy. You can't spend all day on Instagram, on Pinterest, on TikTok, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Snapchat, on, YouTube, on, everything. You've got to pick and choose your lanes, because unless you've got a team of people that can do it for you.
And for years, I wasn't on it because it was me and I did it all. Right. I had to be and honestly, the amount of hours that my social media person put into it to get 2 $29 a month members, there may not be a real ROI on that. I just had to finish out the story like, let's give it a shot, because I have the resources to do it. It's not taking up my time.
Right.
But for a year, I don't even use Facebook for business. I was so myopically focused on LinkedIn. I have Twitter barely. Like I have it because I have to have it.
Yep.
I have Instagram barely. And I do. It's true. 99% of my focus is on LinkedIn because that's where my prospects are hanging out.
Right. And that's where all my clients get their business too, so the more I understand that, the way that it works better. But, to that end, and the reason I brought this story up is because there are people out there that I've heard that, are teaching this philosophy. go make 30,000 connections. You have 30,000 connections, connect with everybody, and then just find a robot that will go and send everybody a hello message and pitch them. Yeah, I know. Some of them are so good. It's called, I actually have a graphic on Facebook called Connect and Pitch of the Week. Yeah, I don't always get one every week, but if it's really good, I'll put it up there. It's like,
we actually often the connect and pitch is a bait and switch.
Yeah, right. I love that. That. So kind of talk about, okay, now we know the not so good way to do it. So let's kind of like, juxtapose that, from your perspective.
So I mean, there's so many different avenues I can go with this, but let's just talk about, let's treat LinkedIn as a networking meeting, right? This is our new networking meeting. So I'm going to just do, because you're marketing, I'm going to start with the conversation about the author, the thought leader sharing a piece of content. So one of the things I would say, this is one of many ways to go about LinkedIn, but I would say go find your influencers, your magnets, the people that are attracting your prospects that are not necessarily your competitor. And it could be someone as high as like a Tony Robbins to a Brynne Brown, or to a great podcaster like Brian. Like if he's attracting the kinds of people you want to engage with, right? Then so I look at that content as the keynote, right? So all these people that are commenting are the people that came to hear the keynote speak. And all those comments are about the topic, about the keynote, right? So they're all talking like a networking circle. And now you walk in, and if you were in a networking meeting, you would not walk in, break into the circle and say, hey, I help businesses just like yours. You would never do that. What would you do? You would listen to what they're talking about. You would potentially ask a couple of questions, ask their point of view on something, and then kind of work into a one-on-one, right? Which might be a connection request. Hey, I see you're engaging on Brian's article around this. I don't know if you heard his podcast 2 weeks ago on a similar subject, but I'd love to send you a link, not to my stuff, to the keynote stuff.
Right.
And so our conversations, and now they're like, oh, I'd love to see that because I already know they're your fan. Now I send that, right? And I go, how did you like that? I've got lots of other content as well. In fact, I was on Brian's podcast and couple of year and a half or 2 years ago. I don't even know how long it was. And, I'd love to send you that one. I don't know, right? Like that's what I might do. But it could be, if you like this content, my company put something out similar. Are you interested? I'm happy to send that. But it's a progression of a natural conversation that you're building kind of a connection. It's not even trust yet, but you're building a connection and you're asking permission. It's permission-based sales, right? You're asking permission to send them something, even if it's somebody else's something. And now they're asking for it. So I am just wrapping up a study in a welcome message. So I have content that I share. It's an ebook, A Day in the Life of a Social Seller, that I share with people. And when I connect with them, but I used to just share it. And then, in this new permission-based, it's a shift, right? You can't just send something anymore. It's the shift to permission-based sales, permission-based marketing. Now I'll say, hey, I don't know if you're exploring X, Y, and Z, but if you are, I've got a great resource that might be helpful. Let me know. I'm happy to send you a link.
Right.
Now they get FOMO. Like if you send the link, it's available to them anytime. They don't need to click through. If they want it later, they can get it, right? But if you don't give it to them, now they want it. So I'm closing this out now, but the stats, I have 200 people that we tested this, 100 that I sent the link and 100 that I asked permission to send the link. And I'm looking at it's still slightly rough, but we're really close. 19% of the people that I sent the link to clicked through.
Okay.
69, I think it's 69% of the people that I asked, do you want the link, said yes. And 90-ish% clicked through.
Sure.
So now we're at 19 out of 100, and we're at, I don't even know the number. It was like
it's about 50%,
48
roughly.
or something so far. And we're not, the full 200 have not, we're completely, we haven't finished it out completely yet, but we're close. They're all out in the world. And so it's more than double of the people that you ask permission to want it.
Right. And that's so true. So really it's about, number one, relationships. And Adam said, he said, permission-based marketing and FOMO. I love it. Interesting concept. And Adam's he's a salesperson in the medical industry. And so it's one of those kind of things where, one of the things I focus on most importantly is, number one, not only making quality connections with people. In other words, people that I know, that I've met. So for example, and when we did our podcast together, I mean, I didn't know you from Adam, just somebody it was Deb Creer who recommended you. And I said, okay, let's get together. So we have a chat. And if I find you interesting, then you come on the podcast. And if you do a great podcast, and I want to have you on my LinkedIn Live and all that other stuff, it's a,
Yay!
Yeah, it's one of those.
And then I get a mug.
Yeah, and you get a mug, right?
By the way, this is the coolest thing with my name on it.
I absolutely love it. It's one of the coolest things I've ever done, over the years, is just give away the mugs, because it's a dual purpose. Number one, it makes you happy and keeps my name in front of you. But number two, most people share it on social media. It's the same kind of thing. It's like, they take a picture. Look what I got in the mail. Hey, I got this mug. And, the next thing this is sitting on LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter and everywhere. And all it's doing is promoting the podcast and promoting me, which is great. And basically the concept, it's the Bob Burg of reciprocity. If you give value first, you will get something in return, and that's really the key. So, I've got to, I'm sorry, I forgot to unblock my phone there, but I
can't believe you still have a real phone. We don't have one.
I still have, because my wife wants a landline, so I've got two. She loves talking on the phone. This is a true story. When I got my iPhone 6, she had a rotary dial cell phone.
I didn't know they existed.
It didn't. It's a joke.
That's very funny.
Yeah, thank you. It was a flip phone. She had a flip phone and couldn't text and couldn't do anything. So when I got my iPhone 6, I had like an iPhone 5 or something like that. So I gave her my iPhone 5. And so I showed her, so she pulls out the phone. I said, okay, so let me show you how this thing works, because it's very different than what you had before. And so I put the kids' numbers in her contacts, and I said, okay, ask SIRI, because if I say it, she's going to jump on. And I said, ask her, text Timmy. And she goes, okay, she said it. And she says, well, what do you want to say? And she said, how are you doing? And she says, ready to send? And yes. And then she sent it. And then I went upstairs to my office. She's downstairs in the kitchen working. And all of a sudden I hear in the background, I hear this, holy crap. I said, what's wrong? She goes, he answered. She would call and leave him messages. He'd never return the phone call. She texted him, and immediately, that's when she figured out, it's like, hey, you got to talk to people in the space where they're at,
Yeah, I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's kind of amazing, and that's one of the keys about this, is you need to talk to people, in the place where they're at. I call it WIIAM, WIIFM. Most people on social media are broadcasting on WIIAM, which is what is interesting about me. And most people on social media are listening to radio station WIIFM, what's in it for me.
Right.
Yeah. So, so let's talk about that. I mean, creating content and doing those kind of things. One of the things that I've learned throughout the years is you get people to download these ebooks, right? You create an ebook, you do that kind of fun thing, and they download it and it just sits in their inbox, and they never open it. So one of the things that we've started to do is I make sure that if they're going to get it, they're going to at least put in, enter their info in a form. I know it's a barrier because they have to put in their name, their email address, but at least at that point, I can at least send them an email drip past that saying, okay, hey, on page 5, we talked about this one particular topic in a very, very short period of time. And so what we're doing is we're just reminding them about it. There's a link at the top that says, if you forgot where it's at or got lost in your inbox, click
Wait,
here.
I'm writing this down. That's brilliant.
Okay, thank you.
Wait, I don't want to miss that. Okay, because I'm always troubled with the marketing side of the follow-up. Like, now what, right? So if your follow-up is, I love that.
Yeah, and I've switched over this year to Active Campaign, and I've started to switch my clients over to it because it's a really, really good follow-up system, really, really good email drip system. And so it's a very short email. It's one paragraph. Says, on page 5, we talked about this. Click here to download. Oh, by the way, we have a blog on that too. If you just want to read the blog, click here. And what happens is people will get an ebook, and you get an ebook, I get an ebook. It sits in our inbox, and we lose it. We forget it's even there. So it's just reminding people what the content inside of there, what they originally wanted to get it for. So the system really starts with an ebook turned into a blog, turned into a drip. And that becomes
brilliant.
Thank you. Yeah, and that becomes a system. And the cool thing I've been able to do with it is get some really, really, really great writers who understand the WIFM. You know, they understand the writing to the end user as opposed to, you know, we're great, check this out, we're the best ever, you know, yada. So when it comes to content, what kind of content are you finding on LinkedIn and other social media that's working now?
So I will answer that. I'm going to talk just for a second. We use smart links inside of LinkedIn.
Okay.
So what happens it's a sales navigator, team, or enterprise. You only need one person for a team. It's stupid expensive. The package is like $140 a month per person, but it's what we do, right? But it's worth it. And what happens is they don't have to enter their email. When they click through, LinkedIn serves you their profile. So where we are is I have over 600 people that have downloaded this ebook from Smart Links. And I'm like, all right, how do you engage them without it being, you know, salesy? And I know how to do that generally, but I'm looking at it from a marketing perspective, how to do it, not from a sales perspective. So sales perspective, I'll go through the 550 and pull out the 10 I want to have conversations with. But what do you do with all the other people? And what you just said is magic. So like mic drop moment, who needs me as a guest? Because Brian just added the value of the day. Because I think that's awesome.
Well, so this is what it's about. It's about brainstorming and bringing out good ideas. You know, you pull some from me, I pull some from you. So
the content that's working, it takes a lot of listening first. So, and some of that may be asking and then listening. And so I'm going to start with the notion that you have no idea what kind of content's going to work and you want to get started. So we recommend you create a poll on LinkedIn, asking questions about priorities, and then get it into the inbox of the people you're connected to that are your ideal prospects. And just say, hey, we're doing a little one poll study on what VP of revenue, whatever it is you sell into, human resources, has as a number one priority around this question. Your vote will means a lot to us. And as soon as the poll is closed, we'll send you the results so you can benchmark where you are with your peers. And people are like, I want to know what my peers are thinking. I want to. And so now we can gather intelligence, and then we can blog based on the answers that we got, and we could see what priorities are important for people. The next thing is you have to make sure, well, first of all, although there's some discovery in this, it has to be something that they're interested in sharing. You can't ask like, what's the number one reason you won't hit your goal this year, right? But it might be, what is the biggest challenge for you to overcome to hit your goal this year, right? You have to make sure that what you're saying is not getting them to throw themselves under the bus, right? The next thing is, maybe of the 127 people that vote, 9 of them are real prospects for you. So now get on a Zoom interview. Thank you so much for engaging. I'd love to interview you for 7 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever it is, on this topic. Now I get to know you and engage with you. And now I'm really getting content. So that's one thing. If you go to create content, what works on LinkedIn from a sales perspective, what kind of content converts to conversations? It has to hit 5 points. The first one is it needs to resonate with your buyer. They need to look at it and go, that's me. I'm willing to invest the next 3 minutes to read it. First thing, that's for me. And the second one is it has to create curiosity. Now, our team has gone round and round and round and round about what comes first, curiosity or resonate. And I'm going to say resonate. We landed on resonate has to come first. There's a ton of questions out there to create curiosity, but I want to make sure, I don't want to create curiosity from just blanketly. I want to drill in and say, this is who I'm talking to. So you need to resonate, create curiosity. Now, the next thing is really important, but not as important as the fourth thing, which is teach them something new that they didn't know before they got here. That has to be it could be a very tiny aha moment, but that's what brings value. Number 4 is that whatever you just taught them needs to get them thinking differently about their current situation. And then they need to know what to do next. You need to lead them to the conversation, to the phone call, right? And they have to know that you're going to bring even more value. So if you win in the piece of content, even if it's a 90-second video, if you win here, they raise their hand and say, you earned the right to get my 15 minutes. I want more of this. And that's what works on LinkedIn from a sales perspective. Thought leadership perspective could be very different. But I come from it is how am I converting my connections and my content to conversations? And without those 5 points, it's harder to do.
Absolutely. Good. That's a great system. So go through those 5 points just real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Resonate. So I know this content's for me, right? Create curiosity. So maybe it's a statistic that you're starting with, or maybe, it's something that gets them to lean in and go, okay, I want more. I want to hear that. I want to follow up on that, right? So you've created curiosity that gets them to want to keep reading. When they keep reading very quickly, and by the way, short content, no more 2,000 word blogs. Like the only 2,000 word blogs we have are the transcriptions of video, and it says raw transcription, and that's all for SEO, not for anyone to read. Just saying. Nobody reads them anymore, right? So quick, fast, teach them something new. If you can't teach them something new that they didn't know before, why would they talk to you? Right? That's the only way that you can earn their time is if you and teach them something new that gets them thinking differently about where they are today, their current situation. So, for example, where I am today is I have over 500 people to follow up on this ebook we just sent them. And I'm like, what do I do? Right? So you just resonated with me because I'm an ebook publisher. You taught me something new and said, focus in on one page, right? You got me thinking differently about how I'm about to follow up, which might have been, hey, do you want to come to a webinar? But I'm going to ease into it more gently, right? So I'll get there eventually, and maybe that'll be at the bottom of the blog, right? So, so you resonated, I didn't say it, but you created the curiosity, like you created the pug tilt, which is,
Right. I love the pug tilt.
Right? Like,
right.
You taught me something new. You got me thinking differently. And, and we're already having a conversation, but the value that I got, like if that were a little blog post, I'd be raising my hand and go, okay, we got to get on a call.
Right.
Right. So that you're leading me to your solution. So that's the content that works. So you proved it and what did it take you? It took you, 14 seconds. We're not talking about huge dialogue that's going to 5 steps that's going to take forever. Literally in under 30 seconds, you were able to articulate and get all 5 points across.
Right. And so even in the case of that, I mean, there's obviously a lot more that goes into the mix. And that's one of the things. So one of the challenges I see all the time with the businesses, the size of businesses that I work with, is they come in and they say, hey, we want to hire a marketing person. I always say, which one? One of the first guests I had on here was Mark S.A. Smith. If you haven't listened to his LinkedIn Live, you can find it. It's fabulous. But he talked about the 3 core things to make marketing work for sales, because everything ends in sales. If you don't have sales, it doesn't matter what the heck you're doing. But he says there needs to be a strategist, there needs to be a manager or traffic copper or traffic controller, and then there needs to be technicians. And so out of all of those things, if you hire one person, they better be good at 90 things, and so I had a customer ask me, says, hey, we love what you do, but we're going to hire a marketing person. I said, which one? And he goes, what do you mean? I said, you're going to hire an SEO guy, you're going to hire an email person, you're going to hire a content writer, you're going to hire a blog person, you're going to hire a website person, you're going to hire what? What are they going to do? Because I can guarantee you, I don't know, I know of those things, but I can't do all those jobs. I hire an SEO person. I hire a writer. I hire these people. I hire, to certain things. There are certain things I love to do. I'm an audio geek. I love editing my own podcast. It's fun. It's like, it's my hobby. But that's what I do. But I also work to the strengths and know the weaknesses. So to another point, and we're probably, for those of you who are on, ask any questions that you have, just go ahead and put them in the chat. So, or if we've sparked a nerve or something's, something's cool, something's not cool, let us know. But, so one of the things that I wanted to talk about too, is I'm a firm believer in the basics. One of the key things that I teach at my, when I'm speaking at a conference, is I tell people that I did content marketing in 1979. And they go, how'd you do content marketing in 1979? There's no internet, there's no email, there's no social media, there's no Facebook, there was no LinkedIn, there was none of this, no YouTube. And I said, it's pretty simple. What I did is I took out my Atari 400 computer and my dot matrix printer, and I typed up little mini articles. And then I would take a piece of paper and I would cut them. And I would take an 11 by 17 sheet of paper and I would paste them all over the place. And I put a header on it and I sent it to a printer and the printer would print it. And then I'd get them back and I'd stick labels and I'd mail them out to customers. I said, that was content marketing in 1979. I said, the only difference between that and what's happening today is the platforms that we have to distribute it on. Right.
I love that. I had a Commodore 64.
I had one of those too. I had a lot of computers. I was a very geeky kid. But with that being said, there's this proliferation of stuff. I mean, I had one guy that I got into this, I will almost call it an argument, where he came to me and says, hey, dude, you need to work with VSLs. And it's like, okay, yeah, video sales letters. It's like, yeah, no. I can put video into an email if I want to. I've got Vidyard. I can do whatever it is. But the bottom line is that's not my niche. That's not what I do. He says, no, you're missing out. You're missing out on opportunities to sell people. And it's like, dude, I wanted to say to him, but I didn't say this. Like, dude, I was doing video before you were born. So
if I could, it's interesting. I contradict most sales trainers.
Yeah.
So most sales trainers are going to say, you've got to get outside your comfort zone. You have to, you can't grow and you can't succeed if you're not taking risks and getting uncomfortable.
Yep.
And I disagree initially. Now, long-term, that's fine.
Yep.
But we have a box. So what we have to do is take inventory of all the things that we're comfortable with.
Right.
Identify the things that will be successful and get us short-term wins,
right,
and fill the box.
Right.
Once we do that, we can start dipping our toe outside of it.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I wanted to go with this. Is just the point is again, it's another connect and pitch. It's a guy that's doing that kind of stuff where he's trying to tell me this is how it works nowadays, and it's like video is the next hot thing. Yeah, video is the next hot thing if you know how to do video. If you understand. I mean, I'm an old school video guy, man. Doing TV commercials is the hardest thing in the world. you've got to convince people in 30 seconds to have emotion and want to, FOMO. There's so much that you have to do in that time.
Mm-hmm.
And it works with audio and visuals and cuts and timing. And, there's so much that goes into it. And what you end up getting is all these people saying, you need to make video. And what you get is the person on the other side saying, what color is blue? Blue is the feeling of warmth, and I want to bring warmth to you and your business, and I can make that happen through my 7-part coaching series. And this is the kind of videos they're putting out, is like the talking head, like, what the hell are you talking about kind of video.
Well, so that's where that's a pitch, right?
Yeah, I know, right?
A commercial. There are some commercials. So I will say, if we went to commercials, there are a few that I absolutely think are phenomenal.
Yep. And there's some I hate.
Yeah, the best commercial for me right now, and there's a couple. My favorite one is the Volvo with the twins, right?
Yep.
And there's this, in the ultrasound, they're having twins, and then they have baby gates, and they put tennis balls on the corner of the table to make sure that their twins are safe. And then they get into the car and they're backing out and they almost get hit by a truck, but the Volvo stops it. Right.
Yep. And
so it's this and I'm a new grandma. So like and I'm also a mom of twins. So like all of that stuff, I'm emotionally connected. I love to watch that. And it's got great soundtrack and all that stuff. Right.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I actually love to watch that commercial. So There are commercials that are great. And what I love about that is I actually remember that it's Volvo. Often I love a commercial and I don't even remember what the product was.
Right.
And so that's a big fail. But that one I think works. But on LinkedIn, that's not what's going to work. Right. What's going to work on LinkedIn is that you bring value, that you teach them something new. You need to detach from the sale. And I actually today put out, like I have a quote every couple of days that I put out. And today it's detach from how much a client is worth to you and attach to how much you are worth to your client.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And so this isn't about selling them. If you can provide value over and over and over again and ask for a conversation, but if you've provided enough value first, they're excited to talk to you.
Right.
I get on a Zoom call with a prospect and they're like, I am so excited to talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because they got value before I ever had the call.
Right.
That's where we need to be. And that's where marketing generally needs to support the sales. Because salespeople, we have a membership group and we have people that show up, and I have a few key people, members that are amazing, but they have been so ingrained in sales that every message sounds like a pitch.
Right.
And you have to retrain that. And so salespeople don't get how to market, how they typically. Right. I don't want to make a blanket statement and I don't want
but if you sit down and you look at the bigger picture, I mean, let's go to the corporate. You've worked in corporate. I've worked in corporate. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, AT&T, Arthur Andersen, big corporations. Marketing is in one building. Sales is in a different building. And the two never talk to each other. So marketing, and one of my favorite stories is Ernest Hemingway was asked to write a 6-word ad. Do you know what that is? It's called Baby Shoes. Or no, excuse me. For sale, baby shoes, never worn.
Okay.
Perfect 6-word ad. You hand that exact same thing to a marketing person. Okay, what a marketing person that says, available now, brand new, comfortable patent leather shoes that add extra support to your baby, help them grow bigger and stronger and keep their feet in comfort all day long. For sale now, online, today, right?
Yeah.
I mean, marketing, here's the thing that I always say.
Here's the content for that would work on LinkedIn. 5 reasons your baby needs new shoes.
Right.
Number 1, if they use used shoes, they've already imprinted somebody else's foot and it will hurt it'll hurt their hips. Right. Number 2. So it's education that leads back to the new shoes.
Right.
But it's all about do not use the hand-me-down shoes from your older child because here's what happens.
Right. And one of one of the core things about what you're talking about is I believe that, that sales drives marketing. In other words, the salespeople, the people that are out there actually selling, are listening to the problems, the objections, what's keeping people up at night, all the issues that people have. And what's missing is the ability for the salespeople to talk to the marketing people and say, here's what we are hearing out in the world. You need to create content that helps us teach people about how we do and solve their problems better. And this is what it is. So that's why I always look at, sales and marketing, from a business standpoint. Like I say, they're usually in two buildings, but I look at them, the House and the Senate. I'm not trying to get political, but the House has an agenda and the Senate has an agenda. And then they got to come together, at some point and mesh the bills together. Right. And that's in order for anything to get done, they both have to agree with each other. And that's why marketing and sales is a hand in glove approach, right?
Love that. Yep.
Thank you. So let's take the last piece of this that I want to kind of cover. And again, we're going to go a little bit long today. It's, because we started late, and I apologize, guys. And Adam said, he says, love the stream of concepts.
Yeah,
so it's a great comment, Adam. Thank you so much. So the last thing I want to talk about is the newer technologies. Okay. Bright, shiny object syndrome is around, us all the time. It's like, and the only reason I picked on the Pinterest person, was because I've seen so many people say you need to be on TikTok, you need to be on Clubhouse, you need to be on this, you need to be on that, and all those other things. And so two of the things I found value in is Clubhouse and Lunch Club. I don't know if you're in Lunch Club or not.
I am, but I've been stood up. The first two I was stood up and I never went back.
Yeah. So I've been on probably 8 of them, and I've loved every single one except for the last one where they connected me with somebody who just was a bad fit. So 1 out of 8 ain't bad. But so with the Lunch Club, and the one thing I love about Lunch Club is I learn concepts. I go in there saying, okay, I want to meet very interesting people with different things. One of the things that the first guy I met, he was a big data guy for large corporations like Yum Foods and those kind of things. He's a voyeur. He goes out to these companies, he does his thing, and then he leaves. And one of the things he told me, he says, I said, based on last year, what is the success formula? He said to me, number one, the companies that are the most successful have this brand. They have this thing that they're doing. 70% of their time is spent on current or past customers, and 30% is spent prospecting. What's your feeling on that number? And I got a second piece to that I want to talk about.
Yeah, so I hate to just say that blanketly because it really depends. Spending time on current and past clients, there are 5 things we want from every client. We want more business, right? We want internal introductions. One thing we've learned from LinkedIn is that there is on average a 20% turnover year over year. So 5 of your target market, your champion, your decision makers, 5 of them are leaving this year. So we need internal introductions. We need to really get, socially surround our clients so that, 6, 7, 8 people inside that organization love us. So when the new gal comes in and fills that spot, she's not bringing in her vendor. Like they're committed to you. So that's 2. So the first thing is more business. The second thing is internal introductions. The third thing is external introductions, right? This is where you search their connections and find out the other people like them that they know that they can introduce you to. The fourth thing are case stories or recommendations, right, that we want to capture, because we need that. We need the success stories. We just hired a PR person to interview our clients to pull those out of them, right? So I think it's really important to have that. And number 5, we need to meet their vendors. So who else are they buying from that are selling to more clients like them? And we need to build deep referral relationships. So, so the question when you say I'm breaking up time with my clients and prospecting, most of my prospecting is interwoven into the time with my clients. So it's hard.
And I think that's what he meant. I think he meant prospecting is going out and finding new clients that are outside of the current, your current sphere of influence. I think what you're talking. So he's spending 70, so basically you're kind of affirming. You're saying, all the things you're saying is spend 70% of the time. And he said that was a formula. He said the companies that did 80, 20, 60, 40 were not as successful from a big data standpoint. Now, granted, yes, every company is different.
I'd love to see that study. That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I would say we're in about 85 to 90%.
Yep.
In the referral aspect. Now we do have inbound, so that's a different story. That's we're responding to inbound. That's a little bit different. But I'm only proactively going out to new people, maybe 10 to 15% of my prospecting time, and typically that prospecting time is really spending time with potential referral partners, sales trainers, marketing people like you, people that I can refer into and they can refer into me. Sure. It's still referral based. So but every single industry, every single company is different. So that's why I hate to give I don't. It's like. But if that's the data, I believe data. I'm a science person.
Yeah, I am too. And it's the data, but it's like, one of my statements is that 67.5% of all statistics are made up to benefit the statistician and 73.2% are made up on the spot. You can make up any numbers and fill in both those things. It's like you can make any data look the way you want. Okay, so in my world, it's really straightforward. Is if a company sells SEO, okay, what they talk about is the number of hits you get on your website, right? That's all they talk about is like, hey, we got you more hits, we got you more visits, we got you all these other things. And they're constantly pumping things up. I've worked with customers that said, hey, we're getting less hits. I said, okay, great. Are you getting more sales? Yes. Okay, then what's the problem? It's like, it's not about hits. You're measuring the wrong thing. It's the time that people spend on the website that matters. And if they're contacting you and doing things. The second piece to this puzzle that we're talking about is one of the things that I've noticed from the data, again, we're going back to data, is that, we have some very solid email lists for some of my customers that we work with. Okay. And, they have pretty decent sized lists. They're in the 5 to 10,000 range of customers and things of that nature. And what we're finding is, and this goes back to the point that you made, is that the unsubscribe rate is below 1%. Per month. Okay. The bounce rate is 3 to 5%. And the 3 to 5%, what that's telling you is that people are actually leaving the companies. They're no longer there. The emails aren't working. And one of the things I think that's really missing is the ability to stay connected with those people as they move from customer to company to company. I call it follow the bouncing customer, because you want to stay in touch with those people if they're working at a new company, because you already have an advocate. And what happens is when people leave and you're not using multiple channels to communicate with these people, you miss the opportunity to, maintain that relationship. One of the things in business is, a company that you work for may own the business, but a lot of times you own the relationship. Nobody can take that away from you, right?
Right. Absolutely. And people, that's that old saying, I hate to, it's cliche, but people buy from people. Well, let's you brought up Bob Berg earlier, right?
Yeah,
so Bob
right.
Berg, Endless, I think it's from Endless Referrals. That's where the people buy from people they know, like, and trust, right? So that is you owning the relationship, right? They're not buying from the company, unless you're IBM, right? There are some companies that they'll call and say, who's my sales rep, right? I'm ready to buy.
Right.
But typically that's not the case, right? Typically you're talking with someone who's just barely exploring an option, right? Like or maybe they know they have a need and they're going to talk to 25 people. I don't know, right? There's all kinds of scenarios out there. But people buy from people they know, like, and trust. I'm going to tell you, here is the challenge with that. In today, how did you get to know people before? I went to a networking meeting. I went to a conference. I flew to Chicago and went to Sales 3.0. Like I met people, and that's how I got to know them. And then the like and trust came from that. We don't have that right now, right? And I don't see it going back to the way it was for a long time. So this is where LinkedIn and social selling has a significant impact on salespeople, because it is now up to us personally to attract, teach, and engage the right buyers so they get to know, like, and trust us.
Right.
And so that, as salespeople, is our responsibility. That's what we own.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest things you have to be willing to do is invest time in people. Is find a way. The more one-on-one conversations you have with people, the better it is. But you have to have the right one-on-one conversations, because, I mean, there are people that are just going to try to sell you. There are people that are going to suck your time. It's my all-time favorite is, hey, can I take you out to lunch? Which is basically, can I pay you $7 for something you charge $500 for? Whatever it is that you do. So we're getting down towards the end of our time, and I wanted to bring up just a couple other things and give you a chance to talk about your stuff. First and foremost, again, everybody, thank you for showing up. People watching this on the replay, apologize for a little bit of a long intro, just but technology is what it is. So the first thing,
I had to message someone to tell them I'm late for my 12 and why. So
yeah, okay,
we'll finish up.
Yeah, we're gonna finish up here real quick.
Yeah.
So I got two final questions for you. Number one is Stella. Tell us about Stella.
The greatest human to ever live on this earth. My tomorrow she'll be 7 weeks old, and it's my first grandbaby, Stella Ray.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Who was birthed by the other greatest human being ever to walk on this earth, my daughter.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then secondly, the last question is you're obviously all over the place. I mean, I see you on Clubhouse and constantly getting pinged that you're on Clubhouse, you're on LinkedIn, you're on all those other things. But if people wanted to get a hold of you, I got a banner for you I'm going to show here. And it is...
I get my own banner.
You got your own banner. There you go. So this is the link. Tell us about what's there.
This is a ton of free resources, like crazy cool stuff, including probably a link to this afterwards too. So anywhere that I'm doing any kind of public stuff, we link it here. I did a little training with a client, onboarding for Sales Navigator, with her permission, and that's up there. So there's just a lot of content that I believe brings great value, probably dozens and dozens and dozens of opportunities, totally free. So we have a membership. There are 3 levels. This is the silver level, which is completely free. We have our highest level is Sapphire. It's $99 for e-learning, and then $29 a month for coaching. And that's group coaching, where we two times a week. That's going to 3 very soon. You can come on and ask your questions and get some insights and learn lots of stuff. It's great collaborative thinking. And what's great is we've got amazing members that help each other. So this is just not about Brynne's ideas or Bill's ideas, right? That's my partner in this. It's about, like, the community is coming together to help people succeed. And I was talking about testimonials. We hired a PR person to do this. One of our clients that went through that in the middle of the pandemic closed got $3 million in business from it.
Awesome.
So, and just from, by the way, taking inventory, we have everyone take inventory of their existing connections. She noticed that an old client, you said past clients, was at a new company, and it was a fast sale. So things like that. We teach you lots of great stuff on how to leverage LinkedIn. And it's a lot of fun, but this is free. So socialsaleslink.com/library, totally free.
Awesome sauce. Well, thank you so much for coming on. This has been fun. As usual. It always is fun talking about it.
Always fun.
Yeah. And I think there was some great things that were, shared here on both ends, and there's a lot to be learned. And that's why I love doing this. And next week, I'm going to have a great guest. It's a virtual assistant trainer named Kathy Guggenauer, who that's what she does, is she teaches virtual assistants how to run a business, which is huge. You know,
Oh, wow.
yeah, so it's not just VA training, it's how to run a business, and she is just I've gotten some amazing people from her. She's wonderful. So
That's awesome.
yeah, so definitely you know, share this, let people know.
Mhm.
And so Brynne, thank you so much. Enjoy
Thank you,
your
Brian.
grandbaby.
Thank
So
you.
long. I'm gonna let you get off, and thank you so much. So here we
Thanks.
go with our close, and we will talk to you guys next week, same time. Hopefully no glitches. Bye-bye.
Thanks.